entitled Sponsorship and Evaluation of Interscholastic Athletic Programs.
May I interject?
Yes, you
So
may.
several months ago, you had come to us requesting kind of us to look at middle school cheer.
Mhm.
And we didn't have a process of what makes a sport a sport. So I met with the high school principals and our athletic directors, and we spent a lot of time about how we would determine and what the process would be for a fully funded sport. So this goes along with it.
So how would, I'll lay this up to the committee. Would the committee like me to read this since it's a new policy, or is it self-explanatory?
If you can do it verbatim.
Slowly for us.
I can do it, Jason.
I
can.
I do want to say thank you for, getting that done. I know that was a pretty big load to figure out what was and is.
Yeah.
How we go about doing it. So
Thank you. I think we have a good process. So we have a process for sports that are already kind of established. So let's say lacrosse becomes popular, and we also have like emerging sports.
Okay.
So there's two kind of avenues they can go through. Flag football is one, like girls wrestling just popped up quickly. And we were able to move it. So we allowed for that in the policy and allowed for those two different streams.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I think probably the most important thing to say is that if there are new sports,
Mhm.
that they have to be submitted 12 months.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Correct.
So
And that's
just so
really,
folks understand.
absolutely, and that's really not us being difficult, but our athletic directors schedule about a year ahead for sports. So if
Right.
we're going to be competitive at PIAA, we need to make sure we have the schedule for them.
And I think that's more than acceptable time frame too. And I like the fact that we did give in that cushion in case there is a sport that is, already introduced into the area and we want to join
Mhm.
quickly, we have that opportunity too. It was a very, so you and the administration wrote this policy. It was very well written. Any questions on that one? George, you okay? I'm
Yeah,
just,
no, I have no questions on that.
policy 204.2, non-school district sponsored educational trip tour. We're adding to guidelines number 2, student has no more than one unlawful absence and has been in attendance more than 90% of the school year at the time of the trip.
Correct.
That's being added by administration.
Yeah, so basically in conversation with our building leadership, they had spoken about that there are academic requirements to go on an educational trip that's not school sponsored for families. But there were some students who were habitually truant, which we are held to that standard, that were requesting this, and there was a threshold to deny it. So we're just asking for the board to consider adding this to policy so that we can enforce chronic absenteeism.
I have a question on this policy. In our policy, we say 5 days. How did we come up with the day 5 days when the state allows 10 days?
This is just for a non-school district sponsored
Correct.
educational trip.
I understand that, but the state allows 10 days in the law, in the code.
For,
For student it's a 10-day.
right, but then they would eat it all up. So if our families went on a 2-week trip, they would have no more days allowable.
Okay, well, in this day and age, the only reason I'm bringing this up is I have experience with this policy with my granddaughter, and I believe family time is important for these children also.
Mhm.
And if a family has a trip that I don't see, if the state allows 10 days, if they want to absorb their 10 days, why we as a district should limit them from absorbing their 10 days, provided they don't have any other exceptions.
Well, let me ask you this. Is it possible in a scenario like that where the individual would be able to apply for 2 educational?
The policies may only incur 1 full year.
Okay.
I respect and appreciate and welcome family time as well, and I value that. However, we do have a standard, and I would be surprised. I mean, students get sick, things happen. We don't want to allow more than 10 days out in a school year. So if we allowed for this 10-day trip, then there would be no cushion or wiggle room for absenteeism. And we certainly don't want our young kiddos coming to school sick. We want them to be able to stay home.
Okay. Any other discussion on this policy?
I see your point, Keith. And I don't know if there's a chance to have special exceptions or if for a certain threshold of a trip. You know, a trip to Europe for 1 week seems
Tight.
yeah, and very tiring.
I do want to remind our committee that they have June, July, and half of August
I-
as well.
I understand that, but not all parents can have that time frame.
Right, and,
Either.
and what I was going
We
to
have
say
to,
is a
we
lot
have to
of
work around
parents
parents too.
there with today's workforce
Mhm.
during those busy times.
Mhm.
They may not be able to schedule vacation time during that time. It's just, I thought we might be able to improve upon it if we think about it a little
Okay.
more.
I mean, the policy is self-explanatory other than that, so there's nothing else to discuss on that one. Moving along, policy 317, conduct disciplinary procedures. We're adding the word district, we're adding the word all district, we're adding administrative regulations. We're striking out. And this is all PSBA recommended updates that we're going by. We've added in delegation, we've taken out the superintendent or designee, that paragraph, and added all district employees shall be comply with state and federal laws, regulations, board policies, administrative regulations, rules and procedures. District employees shall endeavor to maintain order, perform assigned job functions, carry out directives issued by supervisors. Certificated employees shall comply with the code of professional practice and conduct for educators in accordance with applicable law, regulations. When it comes to district property or facilities, we're saying and or equipment, breach of confidential student, staff, or district information. We're adding the district may take disciplinary action for employee conduct that occurs during or outside of assigned duties when such conduct has a direct nexus to or obstructs, disrupts, or interferes with the teaching, research, service, operations, administrative, or disciplinary functions of or any district-sponsored activity. We're striking prepare and promulgate when put in develop and disseminate. We're adding the word reprimand, demotion, or cross criminal sanctions and putting legal remedies. Prior to considering demotion or dismissal of an employee, and at other times when employee conduct has been reported, the superintendent or designee shall investigate allegations to an employee that an employee has violated board policies, administrative regulations, rules, or procedures, and shall recommend appropriate action to the board in accordance with applicable law and regulations. When demotion or dismissal charges are filed against a certificated administrative or professional employee, a board hearing shall be provided as required by the applicable law. Certificated administrative or support employees may be entitled to local agency law hearing at the employer's request. Going on, the superintendent may also receive notice from the PA Department of Education when a certificated educator has a pending record of arrest, indictment, or charge entered upon their state record in the teacher information system. That's that. Any questions? I just legal remedies, that's what was a suggested word?
That is what the suggested
Okay.
wording.
Interesting. Any discussion on this one?
Nope.
My question is, at any time, an employee can ask for board hearing? Is that no? That's-
When termination,
Right,
yes,
at any time. Okay,
correct.
Yeah.
When,
I just want to clarify.
what do you mean by at any time?
In other words, if there's a termination,
Correct.
they can ask for a board hearing,
Right, so the board would approve notice of charges,
right?
and then from there, Steve's office sends out what the board is moving forward with the charges. And then from there, they have, I believe, a window of time that they're able to request a hearing.
Yeah, once a board has approved the notice of charges, then a formal letter is sent to that individual, informing them, should they request a hearing, they have, a window of time that's set aside for that.
Okay, because I was curious with the non-certificated administrative support employees may be entitled to local
I was gonna ask about this.
agency law hearing. That seemed as if they were excluded from.
So the practice is a little bit different. And our labor attorney has said that the practice is a little bit different for support. But what we follow is that we treat our professional employees and our support employees with the
Okay.
same,
All right.
due
It just
process.
seemed opposite.
Yeah, and that's different because of certification and non-certification. But honestly, we follow the higher level of due process for our,
Okay, all right.
For all people.
for all
Yeah.
people, we treat them all the same, yes.
Thanks, Deb. I was gonna ask that question. You beat me to it.
Same thing.
Jason, George, any comments? Okay.
No.
Moving right along, policy 320, which is freedom of speech by employees, formerly freedom of speech on non-school settings. We are striking out all the authority and we are replacing that with the board respects employees' freedom of speech. Public school employees do not surrender their rights to free speech merely because of their status as an employee of the school district. The board acknowledges the right of administrative, professional, and support employees as private citizens in a democratic society to speak on issues of public concern. The board adopts this policy to clarify situations in which an employee's expression could conflict with the district's interests when the employee is not engaged in assigned duties. In such instances, the district, in coordination with the school solicitor, must balance the employer's interest, employee's interest regarding freedom of expression on issues of public concern as a private citizen against the interests of this district in promoting the efficient and effective functioning and educational purpose of the district. In situations in which a district employee is not engaged in the performance of assigned duties, the employee's freedom of speech may be addressed when the employee's speech impacts efficiency or constitutes a responsible likelihood of disruption, as indicated by one of the following: impairing the administration of employee or student discipline or disrupting harmony among coworkers. Number two, having a detrimental impact on close working relationships requiring loyalty and confidence. Number three, impeding the performance of the duties of the employee that conducted the speech and number five, interfering with the operations of the school district. Any decisions based on the above listing shall take into consideration all the facts of each individual situation and shall include consultation with the school solicitor. Was there the word "or" is there something that was supposed to go after the word "or" we're just
No,
continuing?
it's enumerated, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4.
So it's not, it's 1, 2, 3, or 4, or, okay, so we're not accepting all these, we're accepting any of these,
Correct,
but nothing else has "or." That's the only reason why if we,
because it's a list, so it's
Okay.
repairing,
oh, okay.
having, impeding.
Oh, it's like,
or
okay, I get
interfering.
it, okay. Any, on that,
Pretty broad based.
I'm sorry, George?
It's pretty broad based, so, we actually can monitor the speech of the employee.
To a point.
Yes, that's why, but I say, there's 4 items make it pretty broad based.
Any other questions? Statements? Jason, you want to speak up? Freedom of speech?
Plead the fifth.
Good, okay. Moving along, student activities, 618, student activity fund 618. We are just changing the word financial report from quarterly to annually, and then we're adding beverages or other products. Any fundraising activity that involves items of which the school district has entered into quote exclusive use agreements must adhere to all stipulations set forth in such exclusive use contracts. Please refer to 618-AR-1 to view procedures for the purchases of the products mandated by exclusive use agreements. Fundraising activities may not involve tobacco products, alcohol, potentially dangerous items, or any other items which are contrary to the health, safety, and well-being of children. Basically, this is because of the Coke contract, I'm assuming.
I don't want to say contract out loud, but yes.
I can say that.
Yeah, so what we did basically, we developed an AR that would be the process of how our organizations order through the app.
Okay. And then moving on, and the reason I'm bringing this up without asking questions, 618.1 is the same policy, but one refers to student special activity, special activity funds, and one refers to special student activity funds, and one is special activity funds. Same policy, same
Same wording.
wording. Any questions on those two?
No,
Okey doke. And now we're going to go on to 718 service animals. Should I read it?
I like the fact you can.
Would you like me to read it all? There's a-
Service one?
I will, okay, so we're taking up that one paragraph and then we're replacing with parents, guardians of students with disabilities may submit a request to the building principal for their student to bring a service animal to school. The building principal shall forward the request to the appropriate section 504 IEP team. The team shall gather the necessary information and evaluate the request to bring a service animal to school. The student's IEP or section 504 service shall be updated to reflect the use of the service animal. Any service animal accompanying a student with a disability to school or school activities shall be hand cared for in a manner detailed in the student's IEP or section 504 service agreement. The team shall develop appropriate plans for integrating the service animal into the educational environment. We're adding the word approving a request for, before approving a request for a service animal, the district may only ask, and then we're changing, striking all that. The district will only ask if the service animal is required due to the disability, what work or task the service animal is trained to perform. The district may not request documentation of the need for a service animal. And for these reasons, the request documentation regarding training of the service animal, request a demonstration of the animal's abilities, inquire about the nature of the individual's disability, reasonable modification consideration for miniature horses. If a miniature horse qualifies as a service animal by having been trained to do work or perform tasks for a student with a disability, the school must make responsible modifications in policy, practices, or procedures to permit the use of a miniature horse. The district shall consider the following factors to determine whether modification to policies, practices, or procedures is reasonable: the type, the size, and the weight of the miniature horse, and whether the facility can accommodate those features. One, whether the handler has sufficient control of the miniature horse. Two, whether the miniature horse is housebroken. Three, whether the miniature horse's presence is in a specific facility compromises legitimate safety requirements necessary for safe operations. Then we're going to go on. The animal is required. School administrators may inquire of the owner or handler of service animal whether the animal is see, this was very confusing. The school administrators may inquire of the owner or handler of a service animal whether the animal is required because of a disability and the specific work or tasks that the animal has been trained to perform, but shall not ask questions about the individual's disability. Then for surcharges, we're mentioning the district shall not require an owner or handler of a service animal to pay an extra charge for the animal to attend events for which a fee is charged, such as football games or a school play. And then we're adding the student and their parent or guardian. Are service miniature ponies becoming?
I just want to be very clear, there is law, so that number 2 goes to
Right.
actual, yeah.
Okay,
There's an actual case about it.
and any questions?
we spend a lot of time on the horses, a horse, but there's a lot more different service animals out there.
I'm so, wait, I didn't hear what he
I
said.
didn't hear what you said.
He's speaking, George.
He said he spent.
Yeah, I said there's a lot more than just horses out there that are service animals.
Yeah,
Correct, but these were very specific
miniature horses.
modifications for miniature horses that needed to be included.
Do they not have
Well,
to
don't the other service animals need the same thing?
contain any service animal? Like a dog should not smell doggy, a horse should not smell horsey.
Horsey.
Yeah, your parrot.
Not talk back.
Yeah, well, it just occurs to me that, hygiene of your service animal.
Agreed. It's interesting that like the horse has to be
Yes.
housebroken.
But the
we
dog
don't say
doesn't.
that about other service
And
animals.
see, and that's the other thing, here's the thing I always question, and when I fly a lot and I see someone bring on a dog or a cat, and, you know, if someone is highly allergic to cat, and we allow a cat, where do we, you know, because a cat can be a service animal,
Uh-huh.
it doesn't say what kind of service animal,
Allergic to
and
dogs.
how do we handle that if, say, you know, just like a peanut-free classroom, okay, how do we make a classroom adaptable
So,
for
yeah.
cats?
So on the last page, district administration may exclude a service animal from the district building, property and vehicles if the presence of the animal poses a direct threat to the health and safety of others. If there's an allergy, that would be it. The owner or handler is unable to control the animal is not housebroken, or the presence of the animal would require a fundamental alteration to the.
Okay.
Yep.
But
Okay.
it doesn't address hygiene.
I would argue
I would-
that safety.
I was gonna include it under there just because.
Yeah, that to me is where that would fall under.
Okay,
And these are not emotional support pets. These are
No.
service.
No,
animals.
I get it.
Well, I think sometimes people miscue emotional support pets versus service animals.
we have a diet, we have someone.
All right, moving right along. Now is this
Hold on.
where that policy comes into place now?
Hang on one
Okay,
second.
I'm
Hold on,
sorry,
I'm sorry.
Jason?
This is probably irrelevant, but I just noticed that with a couple of these newer ones that have been adapted, we have footnotes to, I'm assuming laws,
And there's no,
but for these, we don't have any listed like we do with the previous ones.
PSBA will add them after
will
they've
add them
been
later
water
on. Okay.
approved, right, so they'll plug them in.
Right, and that's, okay, so the laws will be added to the end of the policy then, because they're not listed
Correct,
here.
right,
And then,
they'll
like,
add them at this.
So the modified ones that we just modified and then the brand new one, we'll have those in there.
We'll have,
Okay,
correct.
perfect. Thank you.
Okay, in our agenda, we have policy 815, which is acceptable use of technology, formerly acceptable use of the computers, network, internet, electronic communication, and information systems. However, it was not in our book. It is on the table for you. It was put out for the public to review. It was online, right, for the public to review?
is it a new one?
It's a
It's-
complete overhaul of, how many pages was it, Mr. Borge? Originally?
24.
Pages to 700 words.
Yes, congratulations. Well done, both. Mr.
And it was
Borge and
changed
Mr.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, almost 10 times.
Well, technology
Understand.
keeps changing.
I know, well, we're keeping up with the
We're
time.
trying.
Since you it condensed, do we, should I just read it? Or would you like to just give us a summary of what
I'll
you
give you a quick
changed?
Snapshot.
Okay,
He has 5 minutes or less.
oh, yeah, you have like, 3 minutes or less, actually.
As Maggie mentioned, 24 pages, 700 words. It uses simple language that outline the acceptable use for students, staff, and guests. Complies with federal and PA laws like SIP and copyright status, aligns with PSBA statutes and standards. In addition, the AR 815 was condensed to 400 words. It focused on prohibitions, monitoring, and enforcement without repeating the policy. We consolidated 3 consent forms. There was an employee, a student, and a guest into one with simple checkboxes for the user. Those forms are down to 200 words. We added privacy statement rules. Changes reduce complexity, reduce ability for stakeholders, and maintain legal and educational integrity.
Any questions from the committee? I just have one. I'm just looking at this. I mean, this was the first time I looked at it. I caught it this afternoon when I was confused when I was looking through doing my review. This to me doesn't look like a policy. I mean, but I guess it says everything.
Less is more.
Yeah,
I think what happened over time, I want to be very specific, and it just built and built and built and built and built. And we just wanted to get back to a very streamlined, simple policy.
There's a lot of references too.
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
There's a lot of references.
Oh, I know, it's a lot of references, and I get that.
And I think it still has the sections, right? Purpose, definitions, authority, delegation, guidelines.
Yeah, and it references law, so I mean, I'm okay with, I mean. So the administration is confident that this will keep us when it comes use of technology.
The guidelines of how our stakeholders are to use technology. Yes.
And you're confident, you're comfortable with that? And you're confident it's,
People will always find ways to break rules, but yes, I am confident that as of this moment, this fits our needs.
okay, and I'm sure we might have another change in a year or two for this.
It literally has been since 2011.
Well, it's true.
It's been a minute.
Oh, no, last revised 2018,
Oh, 2018. Got it.
but we had a lot of revisions
Mhm.
between then and there.
And it's interesting that you point out that if you damage this, you're going to pay for it.
Right.
Hence what is it? The mechanical pencil blowing up your Chromebook?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Just
Any other questions?
include it.
She reads our messages.
Put that out.
Any other questions, comments? George, you okay with that one? Oh, George, you didn't see it, so, we'll
Oh,
wait.
it's online.
Oh, it's online.
He can get a board book. He's in.
Online.
Down there.
Oh.
I would have volunteered though.
All right, moving right along. See, 225, we're repealing it because that is in direct correlation to policy 805.1, which we updated a month or so ago.
Yes.
That's why we're repealing that. Questions on that one? 235, policy, student rights, responsibilities, formerly student rights and surveys. And this is a PSBA recommendation.
Mhm.
We just took out all the instructional materials, surveys, evaluations, delegation responsibilities, the superintendent or designee shall develop administrative regulations consistent with law and board policy to ensure the students' rights under specific conditions properly recognized and maintained. It's just housekeeping per PSBA recommendation.
And a lot of these fall under other policy, so instructional materials, survey, like those are all
Right.
other policies, so it's just redundant.
Any questions on that one?
Proper
No.
gutting.
I'm sorry?
There's a proper gutting of the.
It was, yes, very proper. I just have a question didn't ask earlier, on the minutes from last meeting. Were those minutes the new abbreviated ones? It was very, very good. I like that. I want to commend you on abbreviating, but still feeling like we were here. So I like that, so,
Thank you for being open to change.
well,
We
I-
appreciate it.
it's still okay. Still okay. Still, okay. Change is good, they say.
Because they were concise but accurate.
Correct, that's what, yes, thanks, Deb. Okay, so moving right along, I need a motion to, let's see, we're going to make a motion to authorize the direct administration to post the following items. We have policy 123.3, policy 204.2, policy 317, policy 320, policy 618, policy 618.1, policy 718, policy 815, policy 225, which is a repeal, and policy 235 with noted revisions for public review during the month of May and subsequent board action in June.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I,
Anything else you want to, before you
No, I
Anything else?
think
There's
Okay.
no other
Thank you.
public on,
Huh?
no other public.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. I should have asked. Oh, for public comment, any public out there? No? Okay. With that in mind, and there's no public here want to speak? You want to speak, anyone? Public? Okay, good.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
I.
I guess, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.